Hey everyone, I am joined today by John F. O'Donnell, who is going to be headlining one of the evenings at Punx Can't Laugh, the weekender running from the 17th to the 19th in September. Thanks for joining me today, John.
Yeah, I'm psyched to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Now, just what drew you to, as a getting into comedy? What drew you to stand up?
Well, I think growing up, I always liked how it felt to conversationally make people laugh and to be funny. I enjoyed that. And then, when life starts to unfold and kick your ass a little bit or a lot of bit, I figured out that I could use comedy to process those challenges. So I think those two things together, enjoying how it feels to make people laugh and to process challenges, really made me want to, give it a shot to be a comedian.
Yeah, when I perform, I really find it cathartic. You know, you're like up there, you got the mic, and if you're really vibing with an audience, it's like feels like you're just letting something out there, and it can be really rewarding at times getting laughs with that.
Yeah, for sure. It feels good to make people laugh,
Yeah.
especially when you're presenting something, on your terms and getting folks to laugh with you about it. I think it's a really unique, special thing.
Now, are there any comedians who inspired you or that you really enjoyed or started coming up in the comedy scene?
Well, when I was a kid, Robin Williams was very influential on me. I thought he was so, so great. And then when I got older, I found out about Bill Hicks and Mitch Hedberg and really enjoyed them. They're coming from very different approaches, but both truly unique and original and very funny.
Mm,
And then contemporarily, my faves are Eddie Pepitone and Maria Bamford.
yeah, yeah. I've seen both Maria and Eddie perform here when they've come up for laughs in Toronto, and they're both so amazing. They are just so genuinely amazing. Like I've seen Maria in a few venues, but like just a really small, intimate, like 50-person venue, and to be like that present and that it's amazing to see her just slip into a character or do a bit.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, I've seen both of them perform in intimate venues as well. It's really special experience.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I saw Maria do like a 10 a.m. show in Brooklyn,
Oh, cool.
which was really fun. And then I saw Eddie in South Brooklyn as well.
Awesome. Well, you're New York based, which is one of the founding cities of punk. The Ramones went on to inspire the Sex Pistols, which went on to inspire the Buzzcocks. They also helped inspire Shona Knife, who created an entire Japanese punk scene. Um, do you feel that like New York punk energy ever sort of like permeates the New York comedy scene? Like, how does it sort of exist within the comedy world there?
Well, I think there's elements of it, but to be honest, I mean, there's a lot of folks that are, chasing internet fame and
Mm-hmm.
things like that and are working the algorithm. And that is what it is. So I think that there is somewhat of a DIY punk ethos to the New York City comedy scene, but it's not super prevalent, to be honest. A lot of the independent shows have there's so many clubs, and there's even like what are called indie clubs, and some of them are great, absolutely. But in terms of like that DIY ethos of the independent, say, bar shows, they exist, but it's not as flourishing as it was, I would say, when I moved to New York in like 2005, like over 20 years ago. But me and my friends, we run a show at this dive bar called Cobra Club that has like a cool back room with a proper performance space, fits about like 50 people, mixed, seated, standing. Show's called Live from Outer Space. I've been running that show for 13 years, and
Wow.
it kind of feels like, you know, we're hanging on to that ethic and that ethos.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember the first time I visited New York. I was I kicked myself because I was in a like a hostel right across from CBGB's, and I was like, oh, it'll be there when I next time I visit, kind of thing. And of course, it closed down like shortly after, and I didn't know it was closing, or I would have gone. And I'm like, ah. So it's like every city seems to be like the push and pull, where these institutions and ethos sort of comes and goes, and is sort of fighting to stay alive in a lot of cases. So
Yeah, I have something a little analogous. I had an opportunity to see Mitch Hedberg perform in Michigan when I was living out there. But I was like, oh, I'll just see him when I move to New York. And then I moved to New York in February 2005, and he passed away like a month later. I never got to see
man,
him live, you know.
man, yeah. Um, Now, with the New York comedy world, you talked about how there's a lot of like just different, a lot of venues. How hard is that the audience there? Like you've got so many different choices. Like I mean, I know the Kids in the Hall were sent there to like Toughen Up by Lorne Michaels. And they were like, oh, you need a real audience, and was sent to perform in New York for a year, kind of thing. So like what's the audience energy like in New York?
Well, there's so many different types of audiences. You know, if you're doing like Manhattan shows at clubs, there can be a big touristy element. Brooklyn crowds, sometimes they can have great energy, sometimes they can be kind of aloof, like maybe they're enjoying the show, but in a way that's not giving the energy to the comic to make the comic feel good about their set, you know? So there can be that. And I guess some comics can really adapt to those situations or do the crowd work thing if that's called for. Or sometimes people are just doing the crowd work because they're trying to get the clip. But for me, it's like the crowds that come out to the show, the weekly show that I run at Cobra Club. It's like there are folks that have, sometimes have pretty good comedy IQs that are kind of into folks doing more interesting, unique, or kind of personal stuff, political stuff, things like that. But the truth is, at this point for me, like I want to entertain, I want to do a good job, and I want everybody to enjoy it. But at the same time, I don't really adapt what I'm doing. It's sort of like this is what I got, and I really don't do crowd work. Maybe it's an aversion to how popular it's become, and that's just me like digging in my heels about it. Or maybe it's just that, I know for a fact I'm considerably more interested in trying to express the ideas that are of interest to me than making fun of somebody's job or whatever.
Yeah.
But to double back to your question, there's just all sorts of different types of audiences. So it can be a great place, to kind of adapt and get those skills and, do that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Like the crowd work trend, I find it like there's certain people who do it effectively and well, but for so many people, it really just feels lazy. Like you said, to get the clip, to get that like viral TikTok kind of little shticky, like this is the hot thing right now. Where yeah, which it feels like kind of a disappointing that that's where internet comedy seems to have dragged people.
Yeah, and it's affected comedy audiences in some circumstances where they expect to be. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things about stand up that are, a little bit frustrating in terms of where things are trending and going. There's a lot. There's like all the, the social media metric stuff, the crowd work stuff, the sort of seeming rise of this right-wing comedy nonsense stuff. The pendulum seems to be swinging a little bit on that. So I am optimistic that, some sort of real subversive anti-establishment comedy can rise. And I got to perform at Fest last year, and that was a great community of people all coming together in Gainesville. And there's a lot of people there who have not been tricked by the Trump fuckery, so
Yeah,
it's like it's good to see. I think things maybe will swing back.
yeah. Like you said, it's a pendulum. We'll get back to some sense of normalcy eventually.
Yeah.
4 years ago, you recorded your special, The Manic Depressive Chocolate Fountain Operator, released by 800 Pound Gorilla, which is an amazing label to have a special with. How did you feel? Like, what let you know you were ready to record a special? Like, what is there something you felt, or is there a moment where you're like, "This is it. This is where I am."
Well, that special actually it got released through them 4 years ago, but I recorded it and sat on it for a while. It was actually recorded in like October of 2016. But I made sure to make sure all of the material was evergreen.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be released later. And there's just a long journey of that special probably finally getting a proper release. And I'm stoked that it was on 800 Pound Gorilla. But at that point I've been doing stand up for a very long time, and I was just ready to go with that one. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that was the one where it was like a number of years of material, whittled down to the best hour, I guess. Um, I mean, I released a bunch of DIY EPs before that, like eight of them. But that was my first, like the Live from Outer Space series. But that was my first full length video special. Um, and yeah, it was cool, man. I got to shoot it at the DC Improv, which is a really, really great club. It was directed by Brendan Canty, the drummer from Fugazi, which was like such an amazing experience for something like that to happen. He liked that it was a DIY project, and so he wanted to help out. And we had, a mutual friend who made that happen. And yeah, I'm super proud of that special. I think it holds up. I think it's still relevant. And
Mm-hmm.
then I released another special in January
Cool.
on the Burn This Records label, Brandy Posey's label. It's called Live at the Cobra Club, and it's existing it's on YouTube as well.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go and watch that right when we're done. So that's awesome. Um, Now you do a lot of mental health material. Have you found, like, with like people like Maria Banford, who I feel like really made it uh, something that people can talk about? Have you found the discourse changing around that? Like that it's easier to do material about that kind of topic?
Yeah, I mean, I started talking publicly about my struggles with bipolar disorder on stage and on podcasts back in like late 2009, early 2010. So I've been doing it for a really long time, using comedy to destigmatize mental illness. Super proud of having contributed in that way. I know for a fact that it's been, helpful for me to process and heal, and it's also been helpful for other people from feedback that I've gotten, and that means a real, real lot to me. But I do think it has changed. I think that a lot of people are talking about mental health issues now. I think that is good. I think that it's become somewhat more destigmatized. There's still a lot of work to go, but yeah, I think Maria opened a lot of doors with that, and honestly, so did I. I've been talking about
Mhm.
this for over 15 years. And and I'll get messages from folks that really mean a lot to me.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, so I think a lot of people are talking about it now. It's like it's become more mainstream for sure, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the language around it too in the clubs has changed. It used to be so, like you said, stigmatized, but now it's more of a positive conversation that's happening around this material, which is much more welcoming to and engaging with people. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of people are struggling. And I think this system we live in, honestly, this capitalist system we live in, I think it breeds mental instability.
Mhm.
And so I think there's a mental health crisis, certainly in America. And I think it's all hands on deck for us to help each other out, like no external force is coming to save us. So I think we just need to be kind to each other and and help out however we can. And so like I've had two comedic mental health advocacy podcasts over the years, talked about it a lot on stage, talked about it on other podcasts. um yeah, I'm actually currently in training to become a peer support specialist, which is a job in the mental health field
Yeah.
where you have to have lived experience with a mental health issue and be in recovery in order to get this type of job. And there's a lot of value there. There's a lot of people and places that are seeking out peers because if you have that firsthand experience, you can really be helpful to other folks who are struggling.
Yeah. And do you find when you sort of like working on that, do you find your the communication skills brought that you get from doing comedy, from engaging with people, do you find that helpful in that sort of support role?
I think so, definitely. I feel comfortable speaking publicly, obviously. Um, yeah, and it's been interesting. I mean, it's been a real silver lining for me to get to be a stand-up comedian dealing with bipolar 1 disorder, something as, intense as that has been. Because from when I first started talking about it publicly, even before I was talking about it publicly and processing it. It's like people didn't feel like they had to walk on eggshells around me because I was owning it so much by
Mm-hmm.
talking about it in front of large groups of people and getting people to laugh with me about it again, like on my terms.
Yeah.
It's like it's really been as challenging as comedy is and how hard it is to make it work and the money of it and the success and the comparison game and all of the awful things, the travel, everything that's awful about stand up besides actually getting to do it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's really been this saving grace.
That's awesome. One last question for you. If you were able to do like your dream project, could be like a record or a special or a show or a movie, unlimited budget, whatever it could be. Like what project would that be? What big dream project do you have?
Well, that's a that's a great question. What I would do right now is I'm saying this tongue in cheek, but like with everything that's happening in America with all this authoritarianism and this MAGA fascism and this insanity, I
Mm-hmm.
don't even think we have time to be mentally ill, you know? I say that tongue in cheek, but what I mean is I would like to create some sort of, forward thinking based cultural offensive, so to speak, where I would have some sort of everybody would be clear eyed in my comedy community of like collaborators of what is happening in the country. And we would use our collective amplified platforms and reach and voice effort that would paint a much better of reality and the fascistic nonsense.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
something like that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be genuinely awesome. Well,
I don't know exactly what that looks. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but but
it's
it's a
something
work
to
in progress.
strive
I
for.
mean,
Yeah.
basically, I've been like, yeah. I mean, like, basically, strategy can be boiled down to according to Jane McElvoy and Marshall Gans, can be boiled down to turning what you have into what you need to get what you want. So what I have is a community of some of the funniest, most talented people on the planet that have really good hearts and minds. What I need is for us to come together to put out some sort of message pushing back against this. I need us to let go of careerism. I need us
Mhm.
to let go of trying to find commercial success relative to all the awful thing that's happening. And what I want is for, America not to become an authoritarian, fascistic, state with a ICE Gestapo thug force that is, doing what it's doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's we look back at comedy history, and there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, we speak truth to power," but in historically, yes, but right now there's a lot of people who are more interested in like getting that like and getting that hit and being on the right side of the algorithm as opposed to being on the right side of history. So yeah, everything we can do to speak out and push back against fascism is really important.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's absurd. Like a bit that I do sometimes, I'm like, I'll be like, this next piece is called Complaining About Your Comedy Career While Donald Trump is the president of your country, you know? And then I'll say something to the effect of, yeah, sure. Donald Trump is ushering in a wave of MAGA fascism and using ICE to break up families and kill people, and is terrified of the Epstein files because he's a pedo, and went to war with Iran at the behest of Israel, and did a regime change in Venezuela, and has a complete energy embargo against Cuba. But why am I so bad at Instagram? It's just so truly absurd at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if people wanted to see where you're playing, catch you on a show, where can they go to find out what's going on?
Well, if you're in New York, you could see me any given Friday at Cobra Club. The show is called Live from Outer Space. The show is at Cobra Club in Bushwick, Brooklyn. And September 4th, we're trying to do a special show. It's going to be a benefit fundraiser show for a group called About Face Veterans Against War. And they also have a coalition group called Veterans Against Fascism that we're going to raise money for. It's basically a bunch of vets that want to push back against all of this bullshit. And I think it's a good idea to support them because basically, Matthew, I need them to think I'm cool so they'll protect me, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm next time I'm in New York, I'm definitely going to be coming to your show. So 'cause that sounds awesome. And yeah, thanks very much for chatting with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.